heart, Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah. Hava, Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. Hava, Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah.
Trumot, or gifts. Every single one of us brings gifts to everything that we do, but especially to our Temple Sholom community, our Temple Sholom family. And we bring those gifts in so many ways, whether it is greeting each other here in our space, being able to share a smile even below a mask, and you know they're smiling and wishing you a Shabbat Shalom, to our friends who are joining us on Zoom, who are continuing probably to wish each other a Shabbat Shalom in the chat. We bring these gifts to help build our space. And these gifts is literally the name of this week's Torah portion, which is Truma. And in that portion, we get told all the gifts to bring: different colored yarns, red, blue, crimson, fine goat's hair, tanned ram skins, dolphin skins. Dolphin skins. Yes, the Torah says dolphin skins. It's probably something else, but we don't know. We don't know. It is a word that's a hapax legomena. Boom. Now I've taught you Hebrew and Greek. A hapax legomenon is a word that is only found one time in a text. So in a book like the Torah, where we don't have other Hebrew things from that time, we can't compare that word to something else and figure out, what does that word mean? And so it could be dolphin skins, it could be any type of something, but we just don't know. But they brought all these gifts to build some of the things that we have here. They're building their Mishkan, their holy tabernacle, that's going to have in the center of it the ark. And out from the ark, you have a holy table from which you will do your most special and holy acts. And then near that table is a menorah, a 7-branched candelabra, just like we have here, reflecting back to the instructions we have in this week's Torah portion thousands of years ago. It is that constant reminder that this incredible religion doesn't just stand in place for us today, but it continually speaks to us. It continues to help us understand who we are, how to be better humans, in the same way it did thousands of years ago. And we bring our gifts to help to make our space brighter, to help physically make our space a little brighter today, to light our Shabbat candles. I get to invite up Hannah and Ethan, our regular Shabbat musicians, who are just incredible parts of our community as well. And so our candle blessing can be found on page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher ikshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'halitim shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you both for everything you do, both the music you bring and the community that you build here at Sholom. Like, you're truly part of this family, and I love it so much. Thanks, y'all. And I get to invite up Rabbi Singer to help us lead Kiddush, our Kiddush of Holiness, found on page 123, as we rise in body or in spirit.
I feel like I'm about to have my bat mitzvah.
Well, I moved the step stool out of the way for you,
Thank
so
you.
yeah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tefillah lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki banu baharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim ve'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava u'ratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. We can all be seated unless our name is Noah. Oh, there might be more than one Noah. So Noah Thorne. Let's make sure on that. Noah, you'll meet me up at the top here. Noah, I've had the incredible pleasure of meeting with you regularly. The purpose of it was to talk about conversion. The purpose for me was to learn from you. Your ability to understand concepts through such a deep lens and make incredible connections was spectacular. And of course, you've used this to your advantage in your studies. In like a year or so, you'll be graduating with your psychology doctorate in clinical psychology. Mm-hmm. Yes, nailed it. As you see, Z is a person that really goes out of his way to make sure that everyone else around here knows or is getting closer to knowing who they are. That is a feeling that I've always gotten from you, Noah, that you're looking out for others to make sure that they know themselves, which you are one that is constantly learning about themselves and trying to always get it better, which is a trait that is so beautiful. And part of that, of finding your right path in this world, was finding Judaism. And oh my God, did you jump in, reading everything you could, that anything you could get your hands on. It has really been an absolute honor to study with you. And it's been incredible to spend time with Quinn as well, who is here supporting you and is so supportive of you throughout all that you do. So Noah, we're going to meet up here at the Torah because about a week and a half ago, you did the final moment of your process of immersing in the mikvah. And here we get to publicly share your name that you will be known throughout the Jewish people. So as you meet me up here, I'll ask everyone to rise in honor of the Torah. Join me up here. So this is a dual ask. So I'm going to ask you to hold the Torah here and to affirm these words that you affirmed at your Beit Din. So I will ask you, would you like me to ask you the questions or do you want to read it?
I can read it. I make this affirmation as I enter the eternal covenant between God and the Jewish people. I choose to become a Jew of my own free will, motivated neither by fear nor financial gain. I accept Judaism to the exclusion of all other religions, faiths, and practices, and now pledge my loyalty to Judaism and the Jewish people. I promise to establish a Jewish home and participate actively in the life of the synagogue and the Jewish community. I commit myself to pursue Torah and faithfully consider my Jewish practice. If I am blessed with children, I will raise them as Jews in every respect.
Still sounds good?
Mhm.
Oh, with the Torah in your arms, our people's guide for thousands of years, I'll invite you to lead us in the watchword of our faith, the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
I will take this out of your arms as we invite the rest of the clergy team that are here and with Rabbi Conover from Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
Blessing you the way we have blessed each other for thousands of years. May God bless you and keep you.
May God's light shine on you and feel close to you.
Wherever you go, however you go, may you feel the face of God. May you feel God's presence with you always. And may you be led to peace. As we say, Amen.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Yay!
We'll remain standing as we turn in our prayer books. Actually, no, we're going to have a seat for a moment.
We're always ready to do whatever.
Page 138. Now that we have welcomed Noah officially, we also, every Shabbat, welcome the Sabbath bride into our space. Shabbat, Nekabela Lecha Dodi, Likakala, Bene Shabbat, Nekabela, Itoreri, Toreri, Ibaore, Umiori, Uri, Uri, Shida, Veri, Kevod Adonai, Alayim, Lecha Dodi, Likakala, Bene Shabbat, Nekabela Lecha Dodi, Likakala, Bene Shabbat, Nekabela. Rise and face the entrance.
Oh, Eve Shalom, Ateret Bala, Gam Simcha, Utzola, Tov Emuneh, Amdevla, Bovi Chala, Bovi Chala,
Bene Shabbat, Nekabela Lecha Dodi, Likakala, Bene Shabbat, Before we turn to Baruch Hu on page 146, actually, Noah, can you join me up here one more time really quickly? Because the purpose of you being here was not only like showing you off to the congregation, but was also bestowing upon you your Hebrew name, which is so special to you because not only does it mean I returned to God, but you chose it because it started with the same letter as your mother's name, as Susan. And so, for the first time, I get to announce you and welcome you as Shavtiel mi Beit Abraham v'Sarah. Welcome, Shavtiel. All right. As we continue with the Baruch Hu, page 146.
Lai, 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 lai. 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMorach, Leolam Vaed, Leolam, Leolam,
Ve'olam,
Leolam, Leolam, Leolam. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai.
page 152.
Israel, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים
אני Adonai Elohechem. The good within us will win. Over all the wickedness, over all the wrongs we have done, we will look back at the pages of written history and we will be amazed. And we will laugh and we will sing, and the good that is in us, children in their cradles, will have won. Our hearts will beat with certainty, and there is a day, an hour, and a mountain called Zion, and that all the suffering will gather there and become song, ringing out in every corner of the earth from end to end, and the nations will hear it, and like the caravans in the desert, all will sing together. Page 160, Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Elohim L'shalom L'shalom L'hamidei Shobrei L'chaim Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. O Adonai, guard us from all harmful things. Guard us from all harmful things. O Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night till we wake with morning's light. Teach us God wrong from right. Amen. 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 Hashkivenu Adonai Elohim L'shalom L'shalom L'hamidei Shobrei L'chaim.
As we turn the page to 166, we find the Amidah and all of its blessings as we continue on each even page as we rise in body or in spirit. 164. Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zoher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mebie Gula mipnei bneihem, V'man Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah Rav l'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Tzomech noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal geburot, Umido melach, Melech memit, Umechayeh, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'nemanat halachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalu hasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Been thinking about a famous Jacob Riis photograph of a man on the Lower East Side. This bearded man sitting in a suit, surely taking a moment from his busy work week. On his table is challah and wine, but he sits alone because he was truly trying to find that mitzvah of making Shabbat a delight. As we think about those over the centuries who have worked to make this day, however it was for them, a delight, we take a moment for silent prayer and meditation, each of us in our own way, and we may be seated when we are ready. get to really commend you all for being here and not watching the opening ceremonies. Maybe you watched them this morning. My son Yair was up at 5:30, so I did actually watch them live at 5:30. But the opening ceremonies were fascinating because it was a moment of holding two things. It was, what does it mean? I was really thinking about, what does it mean to celebrate the Olympics in a country that we know is persecuting Uyghur Muslims, and holding both of those things? Could I celebrate this moment while also knowing about the tragedy of this one? And this holding of many feelings, man, that is what Judaism does best. We especially hold the feeling of pain for others. When we visit another, we hold some of their pain for them. Even if we're not having the best day ever, we acknowledge that we're holding a little bit of pain for someone else who needs us to hold that little bit. So for our Misha Berach prayer this evening, in thinking about these words of healing, which we ask for our friends and our family and our loved ones, you think about how they are holding many feelings and how we are doing so as well. So we'll begin to hear the names of those in our space. And then as we begin to hear the words of Misha Berach, sung by our incredible cantor and by our musicians, we're gonna see the names that were submitted by our friends who are joining us online, so we can acknowledge each of those who are having those moments of healing. So for those here, if there are names that you'd like to share, I invite you to do so aloud. Misha Berach, page 371.
May the source of strength, who bless
Shabbat Shalom. How many of you grew up singing the song or sang the song with your kids the one that goes like this? The more we get together, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. Yes, okay, I'm seeing some nods. Good, familiar. This song is a traditional American children's song dating back at least 100 years, if not more. But it was made popular by the famous children's singer Raffi. We Raffi fans here? Yes, a little bit. Raffi, whose full name is Raffi Kavukian, from the 80s through the 90s, sold out entire stadiums full of singing parents and their kids, and was called the most popular children's singer in the English-speaking world. He's famous for hits such as Baby Beluga, Down by the Bay, and one of my personal favorites that goes ring, 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 banana phone. It's great. He has recently been profiled in a podcast called Finding Raffi, which details the singer's life, family history, and his philosophy on respecting children. The podcast begins innocuously by reminding us of Raffi's purely delightful songs. They are silly, joyous, meaningful, and fun. But of course, only 3 episodes in, the podcast explains that Raffi's parents were survivors of the Armenian genocide, and that the resulting trauma deeply affected his childhood, life, and outlook. The podcast interviewer wonders, how could someone whose life has been affected by so much trauma produce something so purely joyful? We Jews are so familiar with the notion of creating joy amidst pain. The question itself seems almost silly. Finding joy next to or at the same time as suffering is woven into our texts, our holidays, and our rituals. And so right now, in this moment that feels full of kind of general malaise and even darkness, we need a reminder of our historical expertise in the joy-finding department. The last few weeks have been rough. From the synagogue hostage situation in Texas to local anti-Semitic violence, to a painful but ultimately hopefully productive conversation with Whoopi Goldberg about Jews and the Holocaust, our people have been in the news in truly depressing ways. I've heard many of you worrying about our security, saying that between the pandemic and anti-Semitism and the cold, you would rather just stay at home. I do think that all of those fears, particularly the pandemic and the cold, do produce justifiable reasons for staying home. But whether you are currently spending most of your time on Zoom or are trying to find safe ways to attend things in person, this is your reminder that Wednesday was the start of Adar. And Adar is the month of the Hebrew calendar where we are commanded to be happy. There's something that feels extremely unrabbinic in telling you how to feel, telling you that you are commanded to be happy. And I understand that some of you might not be able to achieve that right now, and that's okay. But for anyone who has the capacity, you are commanded by God or tradition or meaning or the calendar or however you want to think about it, you are commanded to go out of your way to find joy. In writing this sermon, I tried to seek out deep, sophisticated perspectives on what is joy, because that's really what you're supposed to do. But what I found in our texts was simple advice, as if our tradition was trying to say, don't overcomplicate it. The famous instruction from the Talmud is, Mi shenichnas adar marbim b'simcha. Whoever enters the month of Adar has to increase in joy. This is Judaism's version of just do it. Similarly, in a talk by Ingrid Fettel-Lee, author of the book Joyful, she describes how in researching joy, there were items that came up again and again, regardless of age or background, that seemed to universally bring people joy. Things like cherry blossoms and specifically ice cream cones with rainbow-colored sprinkles. She explains that joy is an intense, momentary experience of positive emotion, one that makes us want to smile and laugh and jump up and down. She even says that wanting to jump up and down is one of the ways that scientists measure joy. And so while I don't want to overcomplicate joy, I do think there is something deeply defiant in this moment of choosing to be joyful. Intentionally seeking out joy, even in something as simple as an ice cream cone, is a way of saying we cannot and we will not be defined by trauma and hate and misunderstanding. Being Jewish means putting time for joy on our calendar. And amazingly, because it's a Jewish leap year, we have not one, but 2 full months of Adar, 2 months to fill this season, even at home, with the joyous Jewish activities that come along with this time. These are singing, dancing, gifts for our friends, drinks, cookies, and acts of generosity. And if this is your first time hearing of this practice of like singing and dancing and drinking and eating cookies and giving your friends gifts in Adar, it is not too late to start. Like, this is the year. Rafi reminds us, the more we get together, the happier we'll be. The simple wisdom feels deep at this time because it has been so hard to get together. Whether we're gathering in person or online, let's keep getting together. Let's not let any of the things that are hard about this moment or the people who are trying to make this moment difficult for us, let's not let them get in the way of our ability, our responsibility, our tradition of making room for joy. Happy Adar and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We get together, the more we get together, the happier we are. I know you want to sing it. Ready? The more we get together, the more we get together, the happier we are. 'Cause your friends are my friends, and my friends are your friends. The more we get together, together,
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you come over and sing that to Yair each night? Like every night? Great.
Absolutely.
We have some announcements
And,
for you.
and plenty of ways to get together.
Exactly.
So on Sunday morning, this Sunday, our adult education team, co-sponsored by Brotherhood and the Women of Temple Sholom, is welcoming a talk by Claire Suffren called Gender and Judaism. In these classes, we're exploring how the rise of feminism in the 1970s impacted Jewish men and women and all of those in between, and how this reshaped Judaism intellectually, ritually, and socially. It had its first session last week, and you don't have to have gone to that one to go to this one, but it was spectacular. You don't want to miss it.
This Sunday is Chicago Racial Justice Day of Learning with Metro Chicago Hillel. So all of the kids in our Hebrew school are going to spend the day learning about Judaism and racial justice. And everyone who is not in religious school is welcome to join the Metro Chicago Hillel for a day of learning, which will provide space to speak about white supremacy, to discuss the nature of racism in Jewish life, and to hold up the diversity of our Jewish community.
It's all held online with incredible speakers. I highly recommend listening in.
Monday, February 7th at 10 a.m. That's interesting. They're calling it film night, but it's at 10 a.m. So I don't know what to say about that, but they will be watching The Matchmaker. It's a 2010 Israeli film written and directed by Avi Nesher. So don't miss that film morning.
I have a feeling that it might be at night. Maybe that's the time. I don't know.
10
That's my
p.m.?
guess.
I don't know about 10 p.m.
That's true. It's probably not at 10 p.m.
Keep checking the website.
Yes.
Because we also don't want you to miss, for those of us who were here for the incredible talk a few weeks ago at the Sholom Justice Shabbat, we heard Dr. David Ansel speak about his book, The Death Gap, How Inequality Kills. And so we are coming back together, having had the time to read the book, peruse the book, look at the cover once or twice. Like that's all you had to do to come on Thursday, February 10th. So next Thursday, as we have a discussion about the book, about what we can do in our local Chicago to fight healthcare inequality. And this is a lead up to a later discussion where we're going to invite where we have Dr. David Ansel coming back to continue the conversation with him. So that this next one is Thursday, February 10th at 6 p.m.
We rise and turn to page 586 for Aleinu for the end of our service.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו למשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו רהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו We turn now to our mourner's Kaddish, to this moment where we think about the people who we miss, the people who have impacted our lives in different ways, the people who we remember in the ways that we live. There's somebody who you're remembering in this moment and you'd like to share their name out loud. Please do so as I pass my hand around the room.
add to those names Jeffrey Shannon, Susan Feldstein, Francis B. Riker, Dr. Alan Miller, Baruch Aaron, Donald G. Baird, Nancy Barron, Thelma Borison, Jerry Diamond, Edna Mae Fadum, Mary Farsht, Bina Farsht, Inga Forst, Philip Golub, Merle L. Goodman, Henry Goodman, Suzanne Greenfield, Lawrence Hendel, Samuel Janis, Scott Kaplan, Stuart Kettner, Louis Kite, Michael Kleiman, Alan Kleinman, Stanley Krulowich, Sadie Kushner, Sidney Leibovitz, Morton Levy, Frederick Lieber, Charlotte Lippman, Chia Lukach, Ruth Marco, Eva Miller, John Richard Milliman, Sarah Moradi, Harold Morris, Robert Nagel, Shimon Newfield, Grant Pick, Robert Romer, Herbert Hillel Rosengard, Marty Ross, Egal Roth, Eric Sacker, Irving Salas, Nancy Schwartz, Jesse Fisher Shepherd Miller, Goldie Shube, Edward Siegel, Sylvia Smith, Ruth Betty Spilkey, Bertha W. Steinloff, Kate Weil, Dorothy Yellen, Sol Zuckert, as well as all of the names that have been shared by our community that is joining us online. May their memories be for a blessing. We chant the Mourner's Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shnei Rabbah.
Vilma dibrach hirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chayechon u'vyomechon. V'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. V'hagala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalel v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha v'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Se shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Please be seated. Cantor, what are we ending with tonight?
Sometimes I like to end things exactly how I began them. So 643, Little Havana Shira. Hava, Hava, Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. 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 Hava, Hava, Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah.
Wishing you a Shabbat of rest, a Shabbat of peace, and a Shabbat of joy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Mazel Tov, Noah. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
guess we can unmute ourselves.
Yes, mute yourself.
There we go.
There.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom, everyone.
And a joyful Adar.
Bye, son.
Everybody
be
knows
happy.
about the movie. It's 7:00
On
on
Monday? Monday?
What?
Not in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That's a typo.
Yeah.
Somebody screwed up.
Yeah.
Is that a
Won't be
technical
the
term?
first
Sonny?
time, I guess,
What movie?
or whatever. Hi, Deb.